Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening. It doesn't matter what time of day or night it is. I'm always just as grateful and as thankful to see that you've chosen to stop by my channel. For those of you who don't yet know me, my name's Reverend Paul J. Bern. I'm the online pastor of the online Christian community known as the Social Gospel Worship and Learning Center of Atlanta, Georgia. Um, I no, let me say it this way instead. This is not a formal church. This only exists online. We have no street address. So this is completely different from what you may be used to when it comes to forms of worship. We don't teach religion here. We don't teach religious denominations either. All we teach, all that I espouse, are Jesus Christ, the Son of God, crucified, died, and resurrected on the morning of the third day of that magnificent morning. That Jesus is what this site is all about. Now, sometimes I apply Christianity to current events. And today's going to be one of those days. This is the Sabbath day message for Sunday the 21st. Let me check that. The 22nd, pardon me. For Sunday, January 22nd, 2023. This is coming to you only because of readers or viewers like you. You can help support this Christian community and this online ministry with a paid subscription for only $5 per month. That's 16 cents a day or $50 a year. Merchandise is also going to be available in the form of nonfiction Christian books, jewelry, and faith-based t-shirts. I'll tell you where to go and find some of that stuff, some photos and everything after I get done with the message here. This is going to be a short one today. This is only going to take a few minutes. But I titled the 7 biggest reasons for the impending economic collapse. The subtitle, What Can We Do? Well, let's begin at the beginning. One of the 10 Commandments says, you shall not lie. That's Exodus chapter 20 and verse 16 if you want to look it up. It says still more about the dishonesty in government in chapter 23, verse 8 of that same book of the Bible. And it reads as follows, do not accept a bribe, for a bribe blinds those who can see and twists the words of the righteous. Close quote. Well, I'm not about to accuse anyone in the Biden presidential administration of accepting bribes, nor here in the state of Georgia where I reside. I am dismayed, nonetheless, dismayed at the armies of lobbyists residing inside the Beltway who are engaged in a legalized version of bribery. It's no different than the existence of Wall Street and the stock market, together with the life insurance industry, despite the laws against organized gambling. And now for the truth. To get it down to the crux of the matter early in the going here. This message will be short but intense. The beginning of the end of the American political machine, which has been the Republican-Democrat paradigm, has already begun. The inherent corruption of the U.S. government has risen up like a foul stench in the sinus cavities of good people everywhere. This has given birth to a torrent of dissent from the occupiers on Wall Street, those at Standing Rock, South Dakota, and numerous places elsewhere, combined with the various anti-government and anti-war protesters. This can become a national movement for a more equitable society if more Americans knew the truth about the true state of the U.S. economy. Everything revolves around the economy because we all need money to survive. America's trade imbalance, its social, economic, and environmental issues all revolve around a debt-based economy. This economic paradigm is coming to an end. And I'm going to list 7 reasons why in the form of 7 lies that will be argued against successfully. How about that? So, moving right along here, the first lie is tax cuts for the rich trickle down to everybody else. In actuality, quite the reverse is true. Ronald Reagan and George W. Bush both sliced taxes on the rich, and what happened? Most Americans' wages, measured by real median wage, began flattening under Reagan and has been dropping since George W. Bush. Trickle-down economics is a cruel joke. In reality, trickle-down means pee on the poor, pee on the minorities and people of color, and ditto for the disabled and the elderly. This is shameful and must be stopped, must be eradicated from our country. This cancer is growing. And economic inequality, that cancer. Okay, moving right along. Speaking of economics, here, lie number 2. Higher taxes on the rich would hurt the economy and slow job growth. False. Totally. From the end of World War II until about 1981, the richest Americans faced a top marginal tax rate of 70% or above. Under Dwight Eisenhower, it was 91%. Even after all deductions and credits, the top taxes on the very rich were far higher than they've been since. Pardon me. And yet the economy grew faster during those years than it has since. Why are the country's wealthiest families being allowed to skate on by the IRS while the rest of the country gets hammered by falling wages? Enough of this. Lie number 3 is that they're telling us. Shrinking government generates more jobs. Totally wrong again. It means fewer government workers, which is everyone from teachers, firefighters, police officers, and social workers at the state and local levels to safety inspectors and military personnel at the federal. And fewer government contractors would employ fewer private sector workers. So on the contrary, to create more jobs and economic prosperity, raise the minimum wage to a realistic level. And I think $15 an hour is what I would call a good start. More money in people's pockets equals more spending, which generates more economic activity, which generates more jobs and business startups and tax revenue. That's how you do it. Plus, the additional spending and jobs create more tax revenue that ultimately makes its way back into the communities it serves. Line number 4. Cutting the budget deficit now is more important than boosting the economy. They're trying to do that right now in Congress. Whose lame-brained idea was this? Probably someone from within the Federal Reserve, since the Federal Reserve owns America's budget deficit. Lock, stock, and barrel, they own it. Every time America makes a payment on our national debt, the money actually goes to the Federal Reserve. Any additional budget cuts now will shrink the U.S. economy even further. They'll increase unemployment, reduce tax revenues that will worsen the ratio of debt to total economy. The first priority must be getting jobs and growth back on by boosting the economy. Only then, when the jobs and the growth are returning vigorously, should we turn to cutting the deficit. And when they do cut the deficit, they can start with the Pentagon. Not Social Security and Medicare. You start with the Pentagon. But hold on, I'm not done quite yet. Just give me a couple more minutes here. Number 5. Medicare and Medicaid are the major drivers of budget deficits. What are you kidding me? Medicare and Medicaid spending is rising quickly, to be sure, yeah. But that's because the nation's healthcare costs are rising so fast. One of the best ways of slowing these costs is to use Medicare and Medicaid's bargaining power over drug companies and hospitals to reduce costs and to move from a fee-for-service system to a fee-for-healthy outcomes system. And since Medicare has far lower administrative costs than private health insurers, we should make Medicare available to everybody. All America has to do is take everyone who has signed up for Obamacare, Medicaid, the VA hospital system, plus all the government employees, and roll them all over into Medicare. Then we'll just eliminate Obamacare and Medicaid by defunding them both, which combined will save about $1 trillion the first year alone. Roll it all up into one and then cut off the excess. That's all they got to do. Hold on, I got 2 more. Line number 6. Oh, I love this one. Social Security is a Ponzi scheme. Hey, no way. I'm on Social Security. Do I look like a Wall Street banker to you? Social Security will be solvent for the next 26 years just as it is. It could be solvent for the next century or more if we raise the ceiling on income subject to the Social Security payroll tax. That ceiling right now, as of 2023, is standing at $106,800 per year per person. If you raise that amount to $250,000, it'll do the job very nicely. It would literally make Social Security solvent all the way through the end of the 21st century and beyond. All it takes is a little common sense, combined with some action. 2 things that seem to be in short supply inside the Beltway these days. And finally, line number 7. It's unfair that lower income Americans don't pay income tax. This is patently ridiculous. In a worst case, it criminalizes the poor. In truth, there's nothing unfair about it. Lower income Americans pay out a larger share of their paychecks in payroll taxes and sales taxes, user fees and tolls than everyone else, especially when compared to the top 1% financial elite. In closing, demagogues through history have known that big lies, repeated often enough, start being believed, unless they're rebutted. Regarding this, the Bible says, resist the devil, or resist Satan, the evil one, and he will flee from you. All you got to do is put up a fight. What's the matter? Can't you put up a fight? But you can. If you had some real live demon staring you down, I bet you could. Either that or you could run faster, I guess. These last 7 economic deceptions I've just listed above are all just plain wrong. Make sure you know the truth and spread it around to everybody you meet. The time for resistance has come. Not violent resistance, mind you. I don't think that's the solution. But a certain form of resistance that only comes from the Spirit of the living God that lives inside us all who believe. Oh, and by the way, since you like my videos, or if you're reading the text, if you like my writing style, well, then you can join me and have unlimited access to my blog, plus the archives, plus the blogs and articles of 18 million other articles a day. That's right. You can sign up for a membership by going to Bern. That's PBERN.substack. SUBSTACK.com. You'll find it all right there. 2 more things before I go, just very quickly. Normally, this is the places where churches ask for money. They'll tell you that based on the scriptures that you are under God's command to tithe 10% of your income. We don't practice those kinds of beliefs here. You don't owe me anything. If anything, it was I who owed you, the viewer, by delivering this message today. It's a rant against the economic system, but it's still based on the Bible. Yeah, everything I do is based on the Bible. If it is not based on the Bible, I won't say a word about it. And so there you have it in a nutshell. Be sure and give me a like, a share, and a subscribe. Before you move on, it would be much appreciated. I'm trying to build a community here. And finally, I want to thank you all sincerely for the privilege of your time. You are all very much appreciated. And so, having nothing further to say, let everyone be blessed in Jesus' mighty name.